Charlie, Kenny was just talking about his perception of how you evolved over your career. Just was curious about your reflection on the arc of the time that you spent as a football coach in Arizona and what this honor means to you.
Yeah, it's humbling. When you look at the list of people that have been awarded and are on it, it's really, really humbling, to say the least. And I think when you look at something of this magnitude, it only obviously makes you reflect on your career and just the people that I've interacted with and built relationships with over my career here in Arizona. And it's something that is immensely special to me, and it's a big reason, aside from Kenny and the staff that I knew he was going to put together, a major reason why I wanted to come back here to Arizona, because this place is special to me. And just watching it as a kid, and watching this guy to the right of me do the things that he did a while ago. Just there's so many things, but I just the state of Arizona is where I cut my teeth, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the Arizona high school football community and the people of Arizona.
How did you find out that you were being given this honor, and how did you immediately feel or react to that?
Well, I was actually sick when Brad Sesmack called me, and I was laying in bed, and I was kind of like I was feeling terrible, to be honest. And he called me, and like the gravity of the award, I was very appreciative and didn't really know what to say. And the gravity of it sunk in. I went back to sleep, to be honest, and got up a couple hours later and just started kind of looking at it and doing a little research in the history of it. And it's a full circle family moment for me, because as I went through the award winners, in 1997, my uncle actually won this award, Nick Bolich. And he was, at the time, he was heavily invested in the Fiesta Bowl, and at one point was the Fiesta Bowl president. So, to be on a list with my uncle who did so many great things for me, and then just like I said, with the names that are on that list, it's an awesome feeling. And I think at the end of the day, it makes me feel a lot of gratitude knowing that I've hopefully had an impact on players and people and coaches in the state of Arizona.
Yeah. Coach, good to see you.
What's up, Cam? How are you?
What's it like just to be part of this program now, these years later, and to kind of do the job that you've been able to do, and kind of what this whole thing has kind of been?
Well, I mean, as a kid that grew up in southwest New Mexico, just about 30, 40 miles from the Arizona border, and my mom being a native from Mesa, and coming here as often as I did, and growing up a Sundevil fan, it is a unique perspective for myself. And I remember my freshman year in college writing a letter. We had to write a letter to ourselves, our future self, in adolescent psychology. And I wrote a letter talking about how I would coach here one day. And you do those things, and you do a lot of those things as a youth, right? But actually to have that come to fruition and see that through and be back here, and have had the success that we've had so quickly, it's almost one of those where probably 8 to 10 years from now I'll sit back and really appreciate it. You're in it right now. I was telling Coach Ward this the other day. I looked at him. We're getting on the elevator 2 nights ago going home, and I was like, man, is it just me, or is it just like the time here just goes so fast? Like, to say like we're going into our 3rd season, it's just like, it's crazy to me. And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, but it all still feels so new. And to me, that's when, man, you're really having a good time. Like, it gives me goosebumps, because the authenticity of the guys that we have, and the appreciation that we have for this place, and just the genuineness of the staff and the people involved in the program, it does feel like it's still relatively new, but yet we're going into year 3. So just very grateful, and again, just very honored to be the award recipient this year.
I knew Charlie Hunter, being a Devils Digest. Kenny talked about your role on the team, not only as a special teams coach, but also like really being behind the scenes, the guy that reins in Ken Dillingham, not to play ice hockey in the middle of fall camp, or not to have hoops out there in the practice field. Is that a role that you expected to undertake when you did come over with Kenny, or is that something that just evolved on the job?
I don't know how good a job I'm doing, right? Especially in that BYU game. No, but It's evolved, obviously, and my biggest thing is I told him, like, look, I'm in a position now in my career where, I'm not smarter. I've just, as Coach Walker says, I've been around a little longer and seen more pictures. So maybe I've gone through it once or twice. And my job is to try and help him and help our program in any way, shape, or form, and it's kind of a role I've embraced and helping him when he needs it in a lot of different facets, but at the same time, he's also helping me, and he's challenging me. I think there's sometimes you get set in your ways, and you want to do things a certain way, and he comes at things with certain approaches that you're like, man, that's crazy. And then it works. You're like, maybe it wasn't so crazy, So it's a good balance, and I think that we complement each other well. I know we've talked about this probably 10 years ago. I don't know if it would have worked, but I'm in a different place, and I just want to see us win, at a high level and continue to win. And it's, when you get to this point in your career, you realize and I've always kind of been this way, driven this way. It's about the people. I don't care what you do in life, man. The whole process is about the people. And anybody that really knows me knows I'm people driven. And when you drive with people and you drive with the right people, you'll always get to the right location.
Hey, Coach Mark, with Arizona's family. Good to see you.
Mark, good to see you.
Going back to the essay about wanting to be a coach here one day, and maybe the first interaction you had with Kenny at Chaparral when you brought him on your staff over there, did you think back then that would bring the essay to fruition? bring Kenny on your staff?
No, I'm not that smart. Not even close. But I knew he was talented. I was just talking about this earlier today, in fact. And, just life is about timing, being at the right place, right? But again, it comes back to people. I saw something in him that I knew he was a doer and a difference maker, and that was his plus one. He was a difference maker. And when you're a difference maker, you're not for everybody. There's always going to be people against you. This isn't a popularity contest. We know that, and sometimes you're gonna upset people, and people are gonna have disagreements with you. But at the end of the day, if you do things right, like you're gonna end up where you need to be. And I saw something in him that was, again, a difference maker, and then what he did in pursuing his path. I'd like to think I helped him get started, and then he attacked that thing with every ounce and fiber in his body, and and obviously we're here because of that. But again, we had a lot of great talent on that staff at Chaparral. And we got two guys that are general manager roles in the NFL, potentially a third coming. It just, again, you surround yourself with great people, and great things will happen.
Kenny talked a lot about just not being a flash in the pan, building off of what you guys did last year. In all your time in football, whether it be in college or high school, did you have moments where people came up to you and because I know we all get it a lot. Why isn't Arizona State more consistent? Why isn't Arizona State, at the top of college football? Did you ever have conversations like that? Did people approach you with that question?
Well, when I came here right in '99 and started coaching, and then went to Chaparral in '05, and then came here in December of '05 with Dirk, Coach Cutter, and did whatever 12.5-month stint, right? And like that's when I really saw the inner workings of Arizona State, right? Everything else had been from the outside as a high school coach, and I had worked 5 summers with those guys, Mark Helfrich and that entire staff, a bunch of those guys, right? And built that relationship to get that opportunity to GA. And then when I left, when Dirk got fired and we got let go, I went back to Chaparral. I'm 29. I'm about to become the head coach there. I understood the process in which Arizona State was running, and it gave me a two-sided look at it from the high school side, and then immediately to their perspective. And it's probably from that point on that I really, those first 5 years when I got here, I was just oblivious. I was just trying to make it day to day, and I was 23 years old trying to figure it out. I started to process like what it would take in order for Arizona State to be good. And we don't have enough time here today to get into that, right? Because you really got to get into the weeds. And Kenny hit on something that I think is spot on. When things don't go well in the coaching world, they want to make changes in 4 or 5 years. And I understand what the business is and the process of all that, selling tickets and all of those things, right? I get that. But when you talk about recruiting kids here locally, that stuff, I have a 13-year-old, he's in 7th grade. He's been obviously with me for 13 years as my son, but it's probably when he started turning 10 or 11, even though he was going to games and doing all that stuff. Now he's sitting down next to me asking questions. We go for a walk the other night. He's asking me questions. He knows about the players. He's all dialed in. And that's probably happened in like a 2-year span. And so my point in saying that is it is like a 6 or 7 year process. These guys are getting fed information. It isn't when they get to their junior and senior years of high school that they make the decision on where they go to school. Ultimately it is, but that thing has been a long time coming. And I just don't think that over the process of the last 20 plus years, you have people that have moved here at a rapid rate. The high school football has continually gotten better, but it's still not an emphasis as it would be at a place like Texas. Even the athletes in Florida where they stay home, right? So I think there's so many different touching points to touch on. And I know I'm a little bit all over the map here. Just stay with me for a second. Is that we've never really had one central figure or central theme to dial everything into a point of why ASU is and can be special. And honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I work for the guy, but he is that beacon. I mean, he's a kid that grew up here. He's a kid that believes in Arizona State. He believes in the Valley of the Sun. He totally encompasses everything that is the Valley. And so when you have that as your leader and that beacon, how can you not look to that focal point and say, hey, if we do X, Y, and Z, we have a place to go. And when we get there, we're going to be able to do this, not just for one time, but for a long time.
Robbie?
Hey, Coach. Congratulations. Kind of to piggyback off of that, you've recruited Arizona for a very long time. How different, or has it been different in the last 6 months or so when you're going into local living rooms and it's maybe not so much maybe convincing people to come to ASU? Is there already kind of, they know what you guys are doing in building, I guess?
I tell you this, and I'm not exaggerating. Every high school that I went into in the state in the month of January, everybody wanted to talk ASU football. And I'm not talking to coaches. I mean, the first thing the coaches, hey, man, give you a hug. Great season, man. Proud of you guys. It was awesome to watch. But you go to the front office, somebody in the office wants to talk to you. The janitor, the assistant principal, and AD will come out. Everybody wanted to talk about ASU football. And I think that's the one thing. When I was living in the Bay and I was coaching at Cal, obviously still very involved recruiting here, right? We're watching the Suns make their playoff run. And I told my kids, I was like, we were getting ready to go on vacation. I said, look, if the Suns make the finals, we're going, right? And so they did. Obviously, we flew down here for game one. And I've told my kids for years, there's two, the original two, the Suns and the Sundevils. And when they're playing at a high level, there's no better place to be in the country than right here. And you could feel that in every high school that I went to. And I mean, again, it's tangible, man. They wanted to touch it. They wanted to feel it. And it lets you know that if we can sustain this, and when we sustain it, what we can do big picture is really something that's going to be special.
Coach, Michael Carson, Kush 4 Points. You talk about relationships when you get an award like this, working with coaches and obviously bouncing stuff off each other, but players, building relationships. I've talked to so many coaches throughout the year saying, when a player comes back years later and visits and there's stories that like something you affected. Was there like a player or a few players you remember from a while after coaching where they came back and they're like, man, everything like it just sunk in, coach. It was great playing for you.
I mean, there's a ton, and I had a kid, Corey Shano, that played for me. That was just a very good high school player. Didn't go on to play college, and sent me a great message a while back, just talking about life and the things that we talked about and reiterated in the program. And you get a lot of those, right? And maybe not a lot, but you get some of those in your career, and those are the checkpoints where they make you stop and appreciate it and value that, hey, what I did had a difference in people's lives. But I think, when you get it on a global scale and you look at a guy like Taylor Luan, who I just talked to 2 weeks ago, and you see what a guy like that has done on a national level, right? And obviously an immense talent, but has never forgot about, where he came from. And, we talked a couple of weeks ago, and to this day, he's always reiterates, like, I would not be here if it wasn't for the things that you guys did to help me at Chaparral. And to know, again, from the Corey Shanos to the Taylor Luans, that you've made an impact at the end of the day, that's, again, what it's all about.
Irish Dutch. Is there a favorite Arizona high school football memory that you have just coaching here in the state?
Ooh, there's a lot. If I was to dial it down to one, I think probably winning the second state championship in Cardinal Stadium, because those kids that finished that senior class lost 3 football games in 4 years, and it was just what it really cemented for me is that the conviction of and I've heard Jake say this multiple times, and you look at teams that win, like our team this year that won at a high level, the commitment to each other, the brotherhood. At the end of the day, that's why you do this. Like, you get done playing, and it's like, okay, I'm a smart guy. I can go do something. I'll figure it out. But why? I would rather be involved in the world of athletics, because that relationship building and those relationships and that brotherhood, there's nothing like it. And so I just look at that team and winning, back to back and going, what did they go? 29-1 in 2 years in their junior and senior years. I think that's probably one of the most special moments of just seeing a group that really band together for 4 years and watch them grow was really something special.
Chris?
Charlie, football question. So if the House settlement goes through and you expand to 105 scholarships and there's no walk-ons anymore, how does that change recruiting and your roster and special teams? And then how do you feel about your group going into this week?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's you're slowly but surely working your way towards an NFL concept, right? The only difference is, right, in the NFL, if you don't, if a guy gets hurt, you can waive them and sign somebody else. So the margin for error when you talk about specialists, what that number is going to be, we haven't yet decided, right? But whatever that number is, it's going to be smaller. We obviously know that. So, you've got to, in my opinion, you have to sign more, combo guys, so that, you kicker and a punter, those are their primary, and then whoever that swing guy is has to be a combo guy that can come in and perform at a high enough level to help you win. And so, getting 3 guys of that caliber is a challenge for sure at any level. But I do feel good about where we're at with our kicking and punting situation, with bringing in Jesus, here over the break, and what he's done in his last 3 years at Eastern Michigan over a career, 80%, big leg. And then I think you'll see tremendous growth from Canyon, from a freshman to his sophomore year. I'm really high on what he can do there. So, but it is going to be a challenge, and I don't think that's just in the specialist world. I think that's across the board, because when you talk about 15 or 20 extra bodies as the season wears on, and being able to have those guys to practice, not having them will certainly create some different challenges and ways that we have to look at how we're going to shape and structure our practices. And I think as we go forward, I think you'll see how spring ball changes over the course of the next 3-4 years. I don't think it'll be as customary as it's been in the last decade.
Coach Doug Franz Unplugged. Tell us a story, whether it's the first day you met Kenny at Chaparral or whether it was yesterday, that one of the first times in your life you remember saying, only Kenny Dillingham thinks like that, or only Kenny Dillingham does that. Some kind of Kenny story where you knew this guy is just not normal.
Oh, okay, I got the perfect one. So I'm driving down the road on Hayden. I can see exactly where I'm at right now. I'm going south or north on Hayden. I'm working my way back to Chaparral. And I called him. And I can't remember exactly what I had called him for. But I got his voicemail. And it's Kenny. He's 18, 19 years old, Kenny Dillingham. And I get the voicemail and it says, hello. You've reached Kenneth or Ken. It was Ken. Ken Dillingham. Leave your name. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? He wanted to be grown up so quick. He was making, everybody else was playing checkers. He was playing chess, and it's something so little as that, but he was always ahead of the curve and trying to push the process. I left him the longest voicemail, just ripping him. I was like, your name is Kenny. It's not Ken. You're 19, dude. Act like you've got a life and you go out and do something, But he was just different, man. And I think to this day, that's what the biggest compliment that I can give him is that when everybody else was doing kid things, he was driven to stay the course and stay focused on the goals that he wanted to achieve, which he's living right now. And for the record, he could play 20 years of pickleball and would never beat Jake.